The Spanish Announce Table.
We are back with episode 317 of the Spanish Announce Table. We're going to celebrate pro wrestling. We are also going to celebrate, briefly, before we do that, them Kansas City Chiefs. I wonder if our friend Justin Summers is listening. He had us on Wrestling Cheers a couple of weeks ago, his great podcast, where we talked about a lot of things. And I think we called the game and the outcome in that podcast and on our podcast, and them Chiefs won, so that was fun. Tom, what else is new, but also tell me how exciting was that for you?
Well, I mean, not to brag, but it was exactly what we said, right? Right when it would become the toughest part of the game, early third quarter, you're down, you have to get a big play. What does Baker Mayfield do? He throws an interception. Just going to say that's kind of what he does. And I understand he played a good game. He did really well. But guess what? For that offense, for being as good as they are, only had 17 points. That's not a lot, especially in today's NFL. So did he play that great? Kinda. But are we judging it by a curve? Yeah. Also, Patrick Mahomes won the commercial battle. That's what I was also keeping track of. 8-2. Because it was all Baker Mayfield and Patrick Mahomes commercials. 8-2 Patrick Mahomes with the State Farm. And the other sponsorship that now just, I forget in my mind. But I tell you what, if that Super Bowl potentially is the Packers and Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs, man, oh man, we might have just Patrick Mahomes, Aaron Rodgers for 3.5 hours, every commercial and every play.
Commercial break. Well, they'll find a way to put it in every commercial break. They might as well just call it the State Farm Super Bowl.
Yeah, I mean, why not? If that's the Super Bowl that happens,
Farm,
we'll see. Hey, but before we move into the pro wrestling talk, let's just have a little fun here. So our Kansas City Chiefs are trying to do back-to-back Super Bowls. They are taking on the Buffalo Bills, who we did beat earlier in the season in Buffalo when all we did was run the ball. How boring is that? Imagine how much fun we're going to have when it actually counts. That's beside the point. Who do you got between the Chiefs and the Buffalo Bills and then the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Green Bay Packers? Let's do our Super Bowl prediction on a pro wrestling podcast.
Tom, we've discussed this. We don't have to worry about the outcome of the Chiefs game because I am in possession of the candle, the St. Patrick Mahomes candle that will be lit for the duration of the contest, quote unquote. Chiefs win. You know what I mean? I don't want to venture into a score because who knows? You know what I mean? Like we see all these weird things. NFL games are always tight and close, and that's why the line is rarely ever in double digits. So, I mean, I'll say Chiefs, by 8.
I got 34-20 Chiefs. We won 28-17 in week 6. Oddly enough, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers and Green Bay Packers also played against each other in week 6. So that was kind of interesting. But yeah, I think this isn't going to be as close of a game as the Browns, which, by the way, if our kicker just doesn't want to invest more time in his clothing line instead of his kicks, we would have won by 9. So shut up. Right? He missed a field goal and an extra point that were within 30 yards. That's not going to happen twice. So take it easy, Browns fans. Look, I'm just having a good time here.
The Cleveland Browns lost just like anybody can lose on any given Sunday. You know what I mean? Mahomes wasn't even in there, but like for a half of football, and you guys still lost the game.
That was scary. He got a neck concussion. Those aren't fun. I've had one of those. It is brutal. It's quick. It's one of those things where, and if you watch back the video, and again, I'm not a doctor, so I'm not going to diagnose him necessarily, but from
just
what I remember,
love.
Right. But when I had my neck concussion, it was very similar to where you get like a flash knockout and then you're coherent. Like I can look at you and say like, yep, we're all good. But then my body's like, we're going to rest. And so now you're in this conflict of, I want to get up, and your torso and then legs are like, nah. And that's what you kind of saw with Patrick Mahomes, where he's like, okay, next play. And then his body's like, hey, how about we just sleep? And you're like, what the fuck is happening? So I think that's what happens. Again, I'm not a doctor. I remember how my neck concussion was, and it was very similar to that.
The very next day, Andy Reid said in a press conference that he had passed all his tests. And so the issue is like with the concussion protocol is when you're in that state, you're in the concussion protocol. So even though you like can clear all the concussion tests, you have to go through this like step by step. And maybe that's rightfully so, right? Let's slow roll this and just make sure, right? And I get that. But like, so word is, I mean, he's a full participant in practice the last 2 days. They have to list him as less than that, but they say, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, again, the only thing that I'm honestly worried about is nothing on the offensive side. It's the other person who got a big concussion during that game that I feel like no one's talking about is Breland, our corner.
I haven't heard about that. Mm-hmm.
And then also who didn't even play in that game because of his injury was our other starting quarter, Rashad Fenton. So we could be going into this game against the Buffalo Bills without our 2 starting corners. That has me worried. I'm hoping they get back in there and we're good. If not, it might be a little closer to what I'm predicting. Anyhow, that's that side of the conference. On the NFC side, we have the Packers and Bucks. Now, if the Bucks win, it would be the first time in NFL history that the host city will have their hometown team playing in the Super Bowl. So Tampa Bay will be playing in Tampa Bay for the Super Bowl. So what do you got with that? Packers, Buccaneers.
As much as I would love to see Mahomes get a chance to slice Brady's throat in a Super Bowl, it would just make me want to vomit if Tom Brady again was in a goddamn Super Bowl. I thought this guy was done for. I thought he was going to do the Phillip Rivers see you later tour down there with the Tampa Brady Gronkaneers, but here we go. I don't know. I'm also kind of more worried about a Rodgers because we've seen this. Like, Rodgers is still the guy who has that Mahomes-like quality where, he can scramble real quick. You can be doing everything right. You can be sacking him, and as he's falling down, he can kind of throw behind his head a 70-yard touchdown perfectly. Mm-hmm. And you go, God damn it. Yeah. So I don't know, man. I feel like destiny tells you it's this Green Bay
Kansas City,
and I think that's the way it's going to go. I just think Gronk and Tom are just a little too old at that point to overcome somebody as good as
remember
Rodgers
in week
been,
6. Remember in week 6, Aaron Rodgers is most likely going to be the NFL MVP because they only give it to a quarterback. That aside, Tampa Bay beat him 34-10 in week 6.
He's also a bit of a head case for whatever reason. Now Tom Brady is too. I mean, he's a whack job as well, but it just seems more, I don't know, more with it in the. You know what I mean? In the moment, I don't know. It's weird. That's a great matchup to watch. That's going to be great to watch. But that's not what we're here for. We're here to talk some pro wrestling. Outside of what's new with you, Tom? Anything fresh?
So we got the big game coming up on Sunday. Saturday night, my personal favorite fighter Dustin Poirier will be in the main event of UFC 257, taking on the most popular MMA fighter in the world, Conor McGregor. It's going to be a rematch. The first time around did not go well for Dustin Poirier. He was knocked out in about a minute and a half. So we'll see if he can change his fortunes and come out on the winning end of this rematch. And again, the main event of UFC 257. So I got that Saturday night, got the Chiefs game Sunday night. So a big weekend for my sports intake. So that is really the only things I've been looking forward to. As far as other things, and we can get into this now if you want. Well, actually, no, let's get into what you've been up to because you actually have some real fun news, personal news.
Yeah, I did.
Aside.
I got a new job.
Yeah, how's that going?
Started yesterday. I'm going good so far. I went in yesterday. It's a company local here, and I went and picked up the supplies and equipment and talked to them. But it's going to be work from home until COVID has fully kind of subsided. They're still wanting people to stay out. So today was the second day of that. Got all the equipment set up, did a couple trainings, met some more folks, and things are just still kind of slow rolling in that regard, but everything should be fun and exciting, man. It's nice to get back into this kind of setting, COVID kind of, it was the right start of COVID when I got let go of the other job, I've been working on the side, but COVID.
Well, good. Well, but I'm glad to hear that you've landed on your feet with a good company, and day 2 you haven't wanted to quit, so that's a plus as well.
Right.
So that is fantastic. So let's get into what we were talking about off air. One newsworthy interview that was not just us on Wrestling Cheers 2 weeks ago was a surprise, I believe, appearance from The Undertaker on one of the most popular podcasts in the world, the Joe Rogan Experience. So, Tim, if I tell you Undertaker is on Joe Rogan's podcast, what are you expecting to hear? What's some of your takeaways that you're like, okay, we're going to hear X. What do you think will happen?
Well, you would think they would discuss the wrestling career and some of the life of Mark Calloway. But knowing Joe Rogan, there was probably a whole host of weird-ass things that they talked about.
Yeah, so I actually listened to this, not the entire thing thoroughly. I'm not going to make a top 10 things you learn about Undertaker on Joe Rogan's podcast. I didn't listen to it with that type of intent, but certain things did catch my ear, one of which may get the WWE in a little bit of hot water, especially maybe Vince McMahon pissed off. Undertaker admitted to essentially using steroids throughout his WWE career. And it seemed like it wasn't just in the 90s when, oh, hey, we got in trouble and we got to go to a grand jury. It seems like maybe I'm assuming a little bit too much, but it seemed like maybe throughout his entire career. Oh.
So then, yeah, what is the things like the statute of limitations, and can the state or whoever was going after him bring up charges on new evidence? You know what I mean? Like, that's,
I don't know, but I tell you what, it was, personally, just going to say it out loud, it was a difficult listen. I think the career of The Undertaker, that Undertaker character, is awesome. It's phenomenal. There's so many great memories that I have of that character and of his career. But this tell-all media blitz that he's doing makes me like Mark Calloway less and less and less. And another big takeaway outside of the, hey, I did steroids, didn't you know, was Undertaker, I don't know necessarily burying the locker room of today in pro wrestling, but essentially saying, my era, we had, quote, guns and knives, and this era has video games and game controllers. So when you heard that, if I told you the first time off air, or maybe you've heard it elsewhere, what'd you think of that comment? Back in my day we were tough, and now today these guys are all soft.
I hate the comment. First of all, I've seen this comment my whole life from everybody, every walk of life. And I remember most famously, if you're into college basketball, Frank Martin, head coach of South Carolina, had a big ESPN, rant speech about how kids are soft these days and all this stuff. And how this generation is different and everything. My response always is like, hey, yeah, what measurable fucking grounds are you basing that? You got any kind of data or anything to prove your fucking bullshit assertion that every generation has said about every generation, follows it? Mm-hmm. Do you not hear yourself? Like, when do you guys snap out of it? And the thing that really bothers me about a guy like The Undertaker is, like, there's twofold to his comment where I'm, okay, so his generation says we were all guns and knives and these guys are video game controllers. Is that that's a terrible Undertaker.
Mm-hmm. And I liked it.
Like, okay, yeah, you're right. But to the generation, the kids younger than us that are playing those video games, like, all they're hearing you say is like, hey, we used to be bad people and you guys aren't. And they're like, yeah, thanks, Gramps, get the fuck out of here. Right. And that's kind of, I'm like, yeah, you know what? Yeah, they're kind of right now. Gramps, get out of here. And the second part about that is, like, he's the same guy who in that interview will say, people from California moving to Texas, just leave your politics here. Hey, you can't say that you're the fucking moral side when you were just saying you're the guns and knives guy versus the video game controller. You don't get to have both of those and have me sit here and be like, you're a fucking great guy I should respect. I don't. I like Mark Calloway less and less every time I hear him. The whole pulling back the curtain thing that he did made me just kind of wish he hadn't. And at
I
some
agree.
point, like, okay, fine, and that's like fine, that's cool, that's you. But again, like, why? Like, why is that? Like, I know I don't want to be the type of, like, why are you sharing your politics? Because people do that, and I speak freely of it. Like, that's fine, but like, when I get my why is like, why do you want to act like you're the guy who's saying the correct positive thing here when you're talking about being violent and angry and fucking, you know what I mean? A detriment to society at large for the most part. And you're talking about guys playing video games with each other and talking shit and busting balls. I'm sorry if I'm the guy saying those guys are better than you. Yeah. So let's just move on. I don't know. Like your career, like you said, great, amazing.
Great
Undertaker, career. The stories told about Undertaker, fucking amazing. But this guy is kind of on my nerves.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. I don't like him. I mean, again, I've never met him, so maybe my impression would be different because, again, one thing that I have to always consider when he is doing all of these interviews is he didn't do interviews for 15 years, and now a microphone's right in front of him. He might get nervous saying a little odd things and stuff. So I'm trying to be a little bit forgiving of some of his maybe bonehead comments, right? I think if
the first microphone we get is in this time in history where everybody's got something to say about what he's saying. Yes.
And what I mean by that is I don't necessarily know if he was given a take two, if he would mention steroids again, right? Like I'm going to say like, hey, you kind of fumbled, but again, first time kind of doing the interview circuit in a long ass time. So whatever, kind of don't say it again, right? But the personality stuff is something that I feel like he's been saying for a while during this media tour. So it wasn't like the first time he said something like this. And one thing I want to clarify is, you know, Tim and I have talked a lot about like this fucking current era of wrestlers are dorks, right? They play the video games. They talk about the Minecraft and all of that. But we're never saying
I agree
like
with them. They're dorks, but I'm not saying like
but they're not bad people, right? Like that's the thing is like it's okay. Now, if you're going to play a video game with me, I would rather it be a traditional sports game like a Madden or a basketball, like something we could actually go outside and do. When you start doing the Halo and then the other stuff, that's when I'm like, get the fuck out of here.
Here's something, though. I think The Undertaker is trying to hit on something of the same thing that we're saying. He's saying these guys aren't cool guys, and we've said that. But he's hitting on this like aspect that like the only thing that could be cool that they should be doing is like guns and knives and drinking and partying. There's plenty of cool guys who play video games in fucking 2021.
Exactly.
There are super cool guys who have they make a shit ton of money on Twitch and YouTube for it. So like, you know what I mean? Like you're still not making any sense. You're making a connection where there isn't one. So
you're trying to say that this generation of pro wrestlers are soft, not that they're like the only way you can be cool is by being an outlaw or some type of on the fringe criminal, and that's not true. What we've always said, and this is where I'm trying to clarify to the audience is like you said, there are plenty of cool people who play video games. Another one of my favorite fighters, Max Holloway, is signed to the Facebook gaming community. He is a Facebook gamer. He is cool as shit. I like Max Holloway. I've hung out with Max Holloway. And he's tough as shit too, but like I've hung out with him. I liked interacting with him. I like his interviews. Like he is a cool guy. He is not a pro wrestler, and the pro wrestlers who are playing in these video game communities are the fucking young bucks, and I don't like the young bucks. And that's what we're saying when we're like the video game culture. It's not an indictment that you play video games. We're saying you're a dork, and by the way, you play video games. It's different than saying you gotta be a fucking outlaw. If you haven't stabbed someone or been like New Jack in the ring, then we don't fucking care about you. That's stupid. The other thing that he said that I'd like to point out is he talked about how this style is soft. And he's like, you know, you do a 650 splash one week, and then what are you going to do the next week? It's all this soft ballet stuff, which to a certain extent, I understand that criticism. Some of Lucha Libre is a little bit much with the hold the hand, move here, 1, 2, 3, 4,
There was a
5.
move on AEW that we're going to talk about in the tag team match with Private Party and
exactly.
with a team, like where it took so long, it was so coordinated and so it was like, guys, none of this would be like we all know it's not real, but like come on, like I can't even. Anyway, so I get what he's saying in some of that, right? Yeah.
Well, but guess who had one of his signature moves be I'm going to hold your hand, get up on the top rope, walk down the top rope, and then hit your fucking shoulder. Get the fuck out of here.
I'm going to turn you upside down, hug you real tight close to my body, drop down to my knees and gently lay you to the fucking mat, and then I'm going to pin you like I really hurt you.
Yeah, but the fucking, hey, and now I've twisted your arm, right? That hurts, pal. And then watch me walk up here, and then we're going to tightrope walk. Why? Because I don't know. I'm 7 foot. It looks cool. And then I'm going to fucking hit your shoulder. Shut the fuck up. You started this shit, Undertaker, with your bullshit ass fucking moves. Fuck out of here talking shit on
First one I
generation.
remember. It's the first one I remember like that, to be honest with you. Now that you mention it. Tom called it. Undertaker started today's pro wrestling style of the flips and shit. Undertaker is the father of the flips and shit. Uh-oh, did I lose Tom? Did you freeze? Oh, there you go.
100%.
Okay,
Yep, there we go.
go.
Okay. So
right,
yeah,
it says my
now...
internet connection is unstable. It's not just my internet connection. I mean,
it's your life.
It's my whole life and demeanor. And anyway,
yeah. So let's get into. Okay, so Undertaker sucks. Listen to it if you want. If you disagree with us, hashtag tweet the table. We probably won't agree with you, but you know,
Undertaker sucks is the show title. That's
he
sucks.
God, Mark Calloway. Yeesh. And you know who's a close second? Kane. Ugh. Brothers of Destruction. Those mouth-breathing knuckle draggers.
Parlor Kane?
Oh, yeah, Parlor
Capital Kane.
All right. Anyhow.
Never mind.
So let's get into some pro wrestling talk here. As longtime listeners know of this relaunch of Spanish Announce Table 7230, we do a deep dive each and every week of AEW Dynamite, and then we do a quick fast lane drive-by of the world of WWE. So let's get started with this week's AEW Dynamite, as Tim is hanging out in the WWE headquarters parking lot.
Yeah, by the way, I am. I'm here in Stamford, Connecticut with an M, Stamford, Connecticut. It's a little brisk. It's a little, although the wind is not blowing, as you can see. I'm here outside of Yeah, it's very cold. Yeah, it's very cold, but I'm tough. You know what I mean? I got my guns and my knives, and I'm tough. I'm here at WWE headquarters. Albeit you might need some guns and knives if you're hanging out in Stamford, Connecticut. All right. I'm here. You could see that if you were watching the YouTube version of this podcast, and you can do that on SpanishAnnounceTable.net. You can find the link there, or you can go straight to YouTube.com/SpanishAnnounceTube, because that is where we are. We just hit a milestone today, Tom. We went over our 100 subscriber mark, right? We started this, I don't know, around 300 or something like that, where we said, hey, let's actually, we got the YouTube channel, let's actually use it. And here we are, over 100 subscribers. So thanks, and all you folks, pay attention. Listen, watch the show. We're going to have some fun, and you're going to hear how you can get involved and possibly have your voice heard right here on the most interactive podcast in pro wrestling history. And let's get into this AEW deep dive.
Yeah, let's definitely do that. Before we do, though, I do want to say thank you guys so much for the support. Guys and girls, I know that's not just strictly a men's-only YouTube channel. So, again, thank you to all
whatever you want to call yourself.
Yeah, whatever you want to call yourself. But thank you so much for the support. When we went into this endeavor of, like, let's put more focus on the YouTube page, honestly, I didn't think we would get more than 5. And we're now over 100. And so that just tickles my soul. I thank you guys so much. But yes, AEW Dynamite deep dive. And it started off with a happy birthday Brody Lee and Dark Order celebration that then led into a tag match that was already advertised of the Dark Order versus TH2 and Chaos Project. The Dark Order, though, had a special partner in pending member Hangman Adam Page joining. Really fun match. I thought the birthday celebration was appropriate. It wasn't overdone. It got Chaos Project out. It started the initial hoopla, and I loved how Hangman Adam Page walked out and goes, "Hey, what the fuck's going on?" and then just dove off the stage into the crowd of wrestlers. Thought this match was really good. What'd you think about the outcome here?
I do like the touch of -1 going like, my birthday was last Tuesday, idiots, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like finally at the end. That was fun. Yes, I like the Adam Page, like you said, where he comes out just hey, what the hell? Time to kick some ass. Let's do
Yeah, it's
it.
like, God damn it, guys. I thought we'd ring the bell and I'd get an entrance, but I got to come out here and whip some ass already.
Well, and then following, where we get Guns N' Poses, John Silver, and he's all, you're so handsome. Your hair is great, and like all that stuff. And he's like, I'm so excited for this. And I love how they botch it, and they've got the he said yes thing, right? Where
Yeah,
he says
and he
no,
said
and they
no.
got dancing people, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
but
so
he said, like, it was a reluctant no. It was like, hey, look, I don't think this is a good idea for me. Again, slow rolling. This has been consistent with the Adam Page character in AEW, right? He has been he's got low self-esteem, if you will, right?
Well, he's subtle. He's not over the top. He's not the 1980s. I yell, and when you just say that I stink, I get pissed and my veins pop out. It's everything's subtle, and man, that really hurt my feelings. And okay, I'll give you another chance. And hey, maybe I'll do this, but maybe I won't. It's very realistic, right? I don't always make a decision every single time. Maybe sometimes I slow play some things. So that's why I enjoy Hangman Adam Page just as a character and as a babyface in AEW. But I did want to get to a poll real quick. We did ask, should Hangman Adam Page join the Dark Order? And surprising to me, but with 60% of the vote, it went to no.
That's just because 60% of the folks didn't hear our suggestion last week on how they should play the storyline out, or they just don't have enough creativity to come up with it on their own. And you should go to our YouTube page. It's on there. Our suggestion about how Hangman can lead the Dark Order and be that dark, mysterious leader they need, and how it could slow roll through a nice long storyline. We've covered that, but this was an interesting play. This story is clearly not done. And it's doing well with the whole. Our worry was, what are we going to do with the Dark Order in this post Brody Lee tragedy? And I think this has been a nice where it's not over the top and kind of just immediately diverging from him, but also it's drawing a focus into an actual plausible storyline for them.
Tim. Okay, so first off, I want to clarify. Dark Order did pick up the victory. I don't know if I said that or not, but just to clarify,
right.
the Dark Order picked up the victory. Then they asked Hangman Adam Page to join the Dark Order. He said no. They had the celebration. They had a guy dressed as a cowboy on like a pogo stick horse come out. They pushed him back. But Tim. This was a filler episode just on the front end. I'm going to say that. It was a lot of filler episode, but it was good. I thought the episode itself was a solid episode, but not too much happened here. However, next week's episode, based off of this segment, is going to be out of this world crazy. You know why, right? So next week, we're going to get the Good Brothers and the Young Bucks teaming together to take on the Dark Order. And of the Good Brothers, the Young Bucks, and the Dark Order, who's the one thing that ties all of those things together right now? It's Hangman Adam Page.
Yeah. Okay.
So what is going to happen if the Good Brothers convince the Young Bucks to get the upper hand on the Dark Order? If the Dark Order starts to maybe take the boots to the Good Brothers, where does Hangman Adam Page come out? He's gonna do something, right? He has to do something. We're gonna see Hangman Adam Page. I think we're gonna get the slow play of
Kenny
no.
Omega may come out there with Don Callis.
Yeah. And who's that guy that's the glue that essentially runs through this whole entire match? And it's Hangman Adam Page. I tell you what, Tim, I can't fucking wait.
What if he joins like Kenny Omega and Callis and the Good Brothers?
No. This is when we're getting Hangman says, you know what? That past group, they were just a bunch of assholes. This Dark Order, they're not too bad. I'm joining them. I predict next week.
They like me for me.
Yes, next week, the Good Brothers and Kenny Omega post-match, maybe they take out the Young Bucks or something happens there, but they're getting the upper hand on the Dark Order, and the person that comes to make the save, Hangman Adam Page. It's the start. It's the little kernels of storyline that's going to get us to. I know it's going to be a while, but this is the little kernels that's going to get us to Hangman Adam Page taking out that dastardly bastard, not Pac, but Kenny Omega. I can't wait till next week. That's going to be a fucking insane match. Huh? God damn, I can't wait.
Could be fun.
Dynamite's the best. All right, so let's move on to what happened last night on Dynamite. The next matchup that I have listed here, and again, I just have the match sheet, so I might be missing some backstage segments. As always, hashtag tweet the table, let us know what we missed. But the next matchup that we had was Cody. Go ahead.
So, what you had was the Don Callis at Kenny Omega's house.
Oh, yeah, I was going to get that.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, so let's get into that now. That's fine. Totally cool.
Okay.
So the Young Bucks go to Kenny Omega's house in a backstage segment, which was, camera guy follows the Young Bucks. And they get there and they get inside the house.
Alex Marvez is there for some reason.
Yeah, because he's always there. He's just, the new Mean Gene, but more dorky and less cool. So the Young Bucks walk into Kenny Omega's house. Kenny Omega not there. Which I know the painting was the big viral moment, right? The romance novel type painting of Kenny Omega and Don Callis, which was fine. It's cool. But Don Callis is there. Again, Kenny Omega not there. And the Young Bucks are saying, hey, what the hell? Where's Kenny Omega? And Don Callis essentially says, hey, you're holding them back. Get the fuck out of here. Here, you need some money? Here's a fucking check. Take a check, kick rocks. And they just bury him, right? We know that these checks are from Impact. We worked there before. They're no good. This first amount that you gave us, we made that last week. Get the fuck out of here. And then Don Callis again is like, you guys are holding back the best wrestler in the world. You got to let go. Get out of here. Young Bucks don't take too kind to these words. And super kick him, I'm assuming. I don't know if they beat him up. I think it was just a super kick. And later on in the night, Kenny Omega shows up to the AEW Dynamite arena, or I guess it's the Daily's place, but that's where the Dynamite show's at, and bumps into Don Callis backstage in the locker room. Don Callis has his eye that's all black, purple, and blue. And Kenny Omega's like, who did this? And he's like, the Young Bucks. And that did not make Kenny Omega happy. So what's your hunch here? Who's behind this? Is this Kenny Omega making Don Callis do his dirty work? Or is this Don Callis screwing up things and making a rift between the Young Bucks and Kenny Omega? What do you think's going on?
Yeah, I don't know. They've done a good job of not really nailing that down, not making that not obvious. Maybe, I don't know if that's by design or they just haven't got there, they just haven't thought to do that.
I think it's by design. Yeah, I think it's by design because I think what they want the audience to believe is this stupid ass Don Callis is getting in the way of a Too Sweet Bullet Club reunion in AEW. Like he's stirring the pot when he doesn't be needing to be stirring the pot. What I think will happen, and again, AEW does such a great job in their short history of subtleties, is if you remember when Kenny Omega got pissed and they lost the tag championships, him and Hangman Adam Page, and then he kind of turned on Hangman Adam Page and he went into that limo, or that SUV, I believe it was, and the Young Bucks didn't join him. I think we're going to go back to that moment and Kenny Omega is going to say, you're not a ride or die. You're not with me. The only guy that's with me is this guy, Don Callis. You wouldn't even get in the SUV when I was pissed off. You sided with neutral. You were Switzerland in this whole debacle. And for that, I'm bombing your ass. I don't know if it's they'd say that, but I think he's going to go back and say, because of the disrespect that you showed me that night, you're not going to be with me moving forward. So I think we're going to get the reveal in due time that this is all Kenny Omega's play here.
I like it. And then Hangman saves the day.
And then I'm telling you, Hangman saving the day. God damn it. I can't, that fucking music when it hits, oh, I get chills. I want to fucking ride a horse. Love that bastard. God damn it. Dark cowboy shit. That's when he joins.
Ride a horse.
I tell you what, when he joins the Dark Order and he becomes the Hangman, they just need to make shirts that says Dark Cowboy Shit. It's going to be awesome. Oh, I fucking can't wait.
That would be nice.
Anyhow, next up in our match list here was Cody versus Peter Avalon. And what I thought was
Peter Avalon.
Pretty Peter Avalon, no longer doing the librarian gimmick, if you do remember that from the first
That
time
was
we got
terrible.
to see him in AEW.
That
Yeah, and
was shit.
I think it was because someone said it was one of those like, hey, I bet no one could do this gimmick, and then Peter Avalon's like, let me give it a shot, and it was something stupid.
It's
like
great
that.
for indie wrestling, as we've talked about, where you know what I mean. You go to indie wrestling because you're not following the storyline a whole lot, you know, from month to month, and he comes out, you know what he is. You boo that guy because he's like, boo, shut up, I'll be as loud as I want, right?
Yeah.
And it works for a night, but it can't work for AEW television. Like, I don't
Well,
know how you make
Blue
it work.
Pants is still trying to do it. I forget her name in AEW, but we remember when we were introduced to her in NXT, her name was Blue Pants, but she's still trying the librarian gimmick. It's not getting over for her either. But
Blue
what I was going to say
Pants.
is, yeah, remember that? That was a thing in
So-
NXT. That was a
Blue
thing.
Pants.
Yeah,
That was over.
it was so
Blue
over.
Pants.
And then she said, I'm out of here. They said, let's sign a contract. She's like, I'm done. Anyhow, Cody versus Peter Avalon. What I was going to say, Cody probably, this was the weakest segment I think he's done in AEW Dynamite history so far. Again, it can get lower, but this just was a miss. He was guaranteed to beat Peter Avalon in less than a minute. Jade Cargill comes out, distracts him because, I don't know, I guess that's what happens. The match goes into Cody getting a figure 4 on Peter Avalon. He goes to rear back to hit Peter Avalon because he's pretty Peter. He doesn't want to get hit in the face, so he taps out. That's the match. I didn't really like this, but what did you think?
Same thing. Nothing was intriguing about it, really. This pretty Peter Avalon, I was excited. I was like, oh, new gimmick, and didn't hit really all that well either. I was like, okay, well, you're a watered down Ravishing Rick Rude, I see. That's not going very well for you. And yeah, the whole Cody aspect was convoluted. I agree with you. This felt like it was spinning the wheels, right? Filler, as you mentioned earlier. It's fattening the storyline up a little.
Well, and I think, we're trying to get to that point of Cody addresses Shaq to then I think get Red Velvet versus Jade Cargill. And that's just a lot of steps for, hey, Shaq's doing some business with AEW. It just doesn't serve really any purpose.
Yeah. And I know like the Brandy Rhodes thing really threw all of that into a halt. And then we had to come up with this Red Velvet, but they're not going to connect with enough people to make us care about that. Like, it makes sense when it's Brandy Rhodes and she's mad. You're talking to my husband and here's, Shaq, why are you even like, get out of here? You just want to you can't never be in the damn spotlight. Like, that's so damn thing. Like, you have to be the biggest star on TNT or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, get the hell out of here. Right. Like, that makes sense. But now this Red Velvet, who's never until then had a connection to this Nightmare family. You know what I mean? Like, I don't know. And it has not shown anything that makes us say, at least in my mind, that goes, oh, that's the next biggest women's star we have, so let's get her the spot where Shaq's going to be sprinkling the mainstream, you know what I mean, dust on. Like, you have other people who, you know what I mean, who are much more like ready to go polished packaged products in your women's division that could use, you know what I mean, that like, hey, everybody should catch on to this. I don't know. I just gone a totally different angle than I would have, I guess, but I'm not making those calls, so.
Yeah, neither am I. I get that we want Shaq because Shaq brings the TNT audience, maybe from.
That's still a great call.
Yeah, but it's just, I don't know, something else. Maybe just do the Snoop Dogg spot, right? Have him get on the top rope and do a frog splash on Powerhouse Hobbs. Like, that I think would be better than what we're trying to do with all these, like you said, loose ends where Red Velvet now is Brandy's protege. So that makes sense.
Give me a who can slam Shaq night and then get, Lance Archer over because he slammed Shaq or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, right?
I agree.
You can take a flat back Shaq. You know what I mean? Flat back Shaq. Oh, that's the title right there.
There it is. I think it's fine. And I don't hate it. It's just, for as good as AEW has been and they're on fire right now, this kind of seems like a slight misstep. But let's move on. And what I thought was maybe the most impressive match of the night, we had Jon Moxley taking on Nick Camarado. Did you see this?
I did
Holy
see this.
Shit.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Never seen this Nick Camarado guy. He was looking like he came out of a Rambo movie, taking on Jon Moxley. Jon Moxley selling for him, taking some good offense from Camarado. I thought Camarado came out of this looking like $1 million. Jon Moxley does get the victory via rear naked choke, which I believe he's using as a last resort type of way to get a victory, right? So he tries his paradigm shift. That's his go-to. But if you can't get that, then he might try, move 2. And then after you get to, move 6, 7, 8, or 9 or whatever, then his last resort is, all right, I'm just going to have to choke you out. Like that's what it seems like his nail in the coffin is in his matches. But Jon Moxley picks up the victory and then puts him over, right? Says, hey, you never know what to expect here on AEW Dynamite. That kid, I'm paraphrasing here, but essentially like that kid has a bright future, and he does. I want to see more Nick Camarado. That guy was where after this AEW Dynamite episode was over, I was like, that's the guy I want to see on AEW Dark, or that's the guy I want to see next week taking on Brian Cage.
Yeah, I like that AEW is still doing this, right? They're it's not just the same folks going out there each week and then, well, right now we're going to get Moxley over, so you lose right now. It's if somebody's going to lose to Moxley, like it's still they went the old WWE route. They're bringing in an indie name and putting them on there, and that person gets a good little rub. They get to go out and probably bump up their asking price a little bit. We get to see a new character, and it might take off. The Eddie Kingston thing took off when they brought Eddie Kingston, and everybody went, fuck yeah, that's the guy. And you know what I mean? Maybe they go, hey, more of this guy. And they go, okay, more of this guy, right? So I think that's a great idea. And he certainly hit his mark, as we talked about. Like, he brought it. It was a great match. Looked tough. Looked, ready to, like, throw hands, right?
I thought he was it was great. Yeah, I want to see more Nick Camarado. I want to see him maybe mix it up with a Jake Hager, Powerhouse Hobbs, as I mentioned, Brian Cage. Get him in there. We like on the WWE side how Apollo Crews and Big E are just big men slapping meat. Well, let's get that shit in AEW, Stop with all these goddamn trampoline wrestlers and let's get some big, powerful men just slapping meat.
Slapping meat, just slapping.
Who doesn't want to see that in pro
bumping,
wrestling? God damn it.
Bumping fat meat up against each other.
That is what pro wrestling is all about. All right, as we go on to the next match, maybe the most surprising moment of the night, we saw Private Party with Matt Hardy, who, side note, became the #1 contenders for the Impact Tag Team Championships, which are held by the Good Brothers, taking on Top Flight and Matt Sydal. Good to see Matt Sydal here. I thought Top Flight looked good as well, but the big reveal was that throughout all of these little slights, I guess you could perceive it as, from Matt Hardy to Private Party, turns out that was actually just grooming them to become heels. They turned heel. They used the chair to get the victory. So Private Party now has turned to the dark side. At least it's something. Now we can maybe go into the party gimmick. We can get some vignettes to where they're not just guys that are having fun. Maybe they're partying and you're not allowed at the party. Like, now that makes sense because they're heels, They're not trying to be inviting.
Yes.
But
it's private party. It's a private party.
Yeah. And they could even get serious with it, right? Yeah. Even to your, like how you said that right there. It's the no. This is for VIPs. You're obviously
this is a private party.
Yeah.
Right? Like, that's the line right there. Like, you need to get out because this is a private party, right? Like, and they just, you know what I mean? You're out the room. I agree. I like it. And especially how I would book this is long-term is, you're right. Now they get the wins because Matt Hardy's telling them, hey, you just give them the little Kansas City punt. And when the ref ain't looking, right? And then little Nashville nut squeeze, and then we're on our way, right? And then they're partying it up. They're having the private parties. Oh no, Mama, you can come in. You're invited, but not you, sir. Right? That kind of stuff. And then it starts causing them trouble, right? Now they're getting a little backlash from somebody that, the receipt is coming due. And then they're, Matt Hardy's starting to maybe abandon them a little and just taking his cut. And they're like, you're the one who told us to start doing, you know what I mean? Like, maybe they're having buyer's remorse. You made the deal with the devil, right? That kind of stuff, and see where that leads, right? See, maybe they buy in harder and just take out Matt Hardy, or they finally go back to being good guys and get out from under the evil thumb. Who knows, right? But
that's what I was gonna say though, is maybe they buy into the winnings from becoming a heel, and they say, Matt Hardy, you ain't keeping up with us. So you know who's getting kicked out of the party?
Yeah,
it's you,
like,
Matt
but
Hardy.
I made you.
Yeah, like, get out of here. Yeah,
but we ended you.
Right. And so you mentioned this at the top of the show, but yeah, from a technical standpoint, this was, it had some moments that were left to be desired, as they say. But you want to talk about that move that you were describing where it was, you got to talk us through what you thought about that.
So, yeah, the one guy was like suspended on the ropes onto right? Like, so they're doing like the plank on the other guy's shoulders or something, and then he leapfrogged over, if I'm remembering this correctly, and then landed on him, and the whole thing took about a minute and a goddamn half to set up. I mean, that one started to lose me. I was like, guys, come on. Now, I had the fortune of watching a little bit behind and had been spoiled that Private Party was going to turn heel, or else I might have just fast forwarded to the end and then not really caught that, because that wasn't a huge focus. If you're doing the thing I sometimes do is skipping through, because time is limited, you might not have caught the chair and that they cheated, right? It might have just been like, Private Party won and moved on. But I knew, right, what to watch, but that one really made my eye roll a little bit, right? Like I don't want to be the old guy doing the Undertaker thing that we discussed earlier about these guys, this move sets today, but like that one was too much. At some point, you got to draw a line. It's got to be halfway semi-believable in my mind. You know what I mean? I don't know.
No, I totally agree. They're young teams, so I'm trying to give them a little bit more of that benefit of the doubt, where it's like, hey, okay, so we got that one, right? We tried that shit, didn't really work. Let's not do that one again. And hopefully that's where the lesson is learned. Or maybe they double down and they start doing this move and practicing it more to make it more crisp. But I don't know. Like I said, I prefer my wrestling more of the next match on Dynamite, and we'll get into that right here. It was the female main event before the main event, because that's how it always goes on AEW Dynamite. But it was Penelope Ford taking on Layla Hirsch. Layla Hirsch is so fucking cool. I like her. One thing that Jim Ross needs to get the fuck over is that she's 4'11". Okay, guess what? Jim, you get in there. What are you going to do to her? Fucking nothing, pal. Like, it doesn't, who cares that she's 4'11"? She's a fucking badass. I thought she looked great in the limited time that she had here. Penelope Ford has an it factor. I don't know what it is, but she walks out and has this confidence. Kip Sabian acts like a puppy dog around her, where he's just hanging on her every move, it feels like. Then you add Miro and the muscle, and now you have the butler, Charles Taylor, I believe they're calling him. It's not Chucky T anymore. It's Charles Taylor.
I like
Penelope Ford.
Charles Taylor.
I believe that's what they were saying, but Penelope Ford gets the victory. Ford, again, is always fun to watch, but where I was left with a great impression was more Layla Hirsch. We mentioned it a few episodes back. Team Taz needs some female presence, I think, and the person that needs to be joining Team Taz more than another Hook type of guy in that group is Layla Hirsch. She's a badass. I am excited for Layla Hirsch's future, but Penelope Ford picked up the victory. Post-match, we saw Miro tell his butler, Charles Taylor, that Orange Cassidy no longer has a best friend because Charles Taylor's best friend is Miro. What'd you think of that?
That was fun. I like Orange Cassidy's reaction, where he's just sadly disappointed, right, and just kind of turned and walked away.
He was like Bernie Sanders at the inauguration.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, he really was.
It's like, I don't like this.
I don't like any of this, but here we go.
But also, like, I have other things to do. Like, I'm busy, so like I've got to go.
Like, all right, next. Yeah, time to go. Yeah. I like this is going to be fun with Charles Taylor, and this can be good exposure for him if they play it right. If they keep demeaning this guy, and you know what I mean, and we want to see Chuck Taylor back, but same kind of thing. He could dig in and get the Stockholm syndrome, and kind of ride or die for Miro for a little bit. So that could be fun too, right? He could, right when. What's the other guy's name again? I'm
Kip Sabian.
The best friend.
Oh, Trent.
Right, Trent. When Trent comes back, and they're like, "Hey, let's rescue you." That would be a long time. I don't know, but then you know what I mean. You could. No, you know what I mean. No, I like my position. I like where I'm at. That kind
I
of stuff.
sure hope not. I love the Best Friends. I'm still high on the Best Friends. They're my favorite tag team. Obviously, Trent is hurt with I believe pectoral tear, so we got a few more months of him recovering from that. But they're my favorite tag team. I absolutely love them. I want to see more of them. So hopefully they don't do that. But yeah, I think this can still have some more fun segments in it as we see the butler for Miro get ridiculed and demeaned. Now, before we get into the main event, I did want to mention AEW did make an announcement that there's going to be a women's tournament that will determine the number one contender for the women's AEW championship. Like that move. Hopefully that means in an AEW Dynamite episode in the future, we might have 3 women's matches or 2 or maybe 1 not before
Maybe the show will start
main
with
event. Yeah. Right. That would be fun.
I saw somebody tweet, and I don't have their name, so sorry. Sue me. Don't sue me. I don't even got anything for you to sue. But it says it said death, taxes, and 8:30 p.m. Central or Eastern, whatever it was. Women's match on.
Yeah, it's
on
always
AEW.
the same thing. And again, look, you're creating expectations. One of the other things that WCW did great during the Monday Night Wars is at the top of the hour or to start the show, you got the luchadors and the cruiserweights to give you all the fast action, right? You became conditioned to expect that. I get it. But I don't want to be conditioned that the women only can be the piss break before the main event because, in pro wrestling booking, tradition, that is the piss break before we got to make sure we're watching the main event. And so that's where I think maybe we need to, again, as I mentioned last week, just move with the scheduling and formatting of the show just a tad bit. But
yeah, I agree.
Let's get into the main event. This was interesting. It was the Inner Circle winner becomes the main tag team main event match. And here's some thoughts I had before we get into the match. One, super interesting that you can have a match of 6 heels wrestle each other and we care, right? Like, it obviously main evented for a reason. It draws ratings. They are interesting, but we shouldn't fucking care, right? Like, who cares? They all lose. We've talked about last week when it was Hitler versus Mussolini. Like, I'm not rooting for anyone in that fight. And in the Inner Circle, you shouldn't care who the the main tag team is. Or Stalin.
Would totally root for Mussolini, man. Come on.
Easy. Whoa. Whoa, pal.
That was sarcasm.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, you're like, sure. Well, yeah, right, yeah.
Yeah, sure thing, pal. So yeah, let's get into it. It was MJF and Chris Jericho, Santana and Ortiz, and then Sammy Guevara and Jake Hager, which, side note, they actually got Sammy Hager to say that his favorite tag team was Sammy Guevara and Jake Hager.
You acted very shocked about that, but I'm sure it costs like a cheeseburger and a 6-pack to get Sammy Hager.
It's still cool. Hey,
maybe they sent him some chicken wings.
Maybe. Heard that actually is a great way to get people involved in your media. Yeah, in your interview or media. No, I thought it was great. And I like, one thing during this whole pandemic that I will give credit to AEW is they've done a lot of pop culture and pseudo celebrities involved in their show. And outside the Mike Tyson flub that they had where Tyson was just ripping his shirt in front of Jericho for no apparent fucking reason, their their spots have all made sense and not been overdone. Like that was the perfect way for Sammy Hager to be on AEW. You know what I'm saying? It wasn't that he walked out with them or he was in their corner. It's like, okay, we're pushing the limits. It was just a, hey guys, you like rock and roll? Remember me from Van Halen? See ya. And you're like, oh, neat. Okay, moving on. They're perfect. If you remember the Manitoba Melee, when it was Lou Ferrigno and Jay and Silent Bob and all those guys, it was just the wow. So let's get into that was kind of weird. So let's get into the main event. What'd you think? Let's get into that first before I say who the winner was and yada, 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 all that stuff.
Yes, you're right. It's interesting how they turn this like triple threat of heels in the same gimmick into a match that we care about. That is unique, but I also like it just in the end, I still was kind of, the way they ended it just kind of left a like, oh, okay. So what? Like it was just kind of a, what? I don't know that this is advancing much.
Well, and I also don't think we're telling a new story. You know, there can be infighting that's interesting, and then there can just be infighting because we need the inner circle on this week. It was interesting when it's Jake Hager and Wardlow because, hey, I'm the fucking monster in this group. Well, no, fuck you. I'm the monster in this group. But then when you're saying that same story, but it's we're the tag team in this group. Well, it's the same fucking thing. I really thought so. MJF and Chris Jericho win. MJF pulls the tights to Sammy Guevara to get the 1, 2, 3. I really thought though this could have been the re-solidifying of Santana and Ortiz. You could have been like, hey, this was the team that was brought in here, and then this is going to be the match that proves why they're the team in the inner circle. Instead, we get MJF and Chris Jericho, which now you're just devaluing Santana and Ortiz. Like what's their purpose now if they're not the tag team in the inner circle? Are they going to do singles pushes? I doubt it. So I just don't know what we're doing with this.
Unless we are just getting closer to the end of the inner circle and, you know, then they can go do a tag team thing. But again, it's a bloated tag team roster.
Yeah, I totally agree. But we know that they're good. Remember the street fight that they had with the best friends?
Probably one of the best they got.
Yeah. And so I really thought they misfired and they could have said Santana and Ortiz are the shit and you guys must have forgot, but this is going to be the match that makes you realize they're awesome.
Just their tag team lineage would suggest they're not losing to two makeshift teams.
Yeah.
Or else what are they? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. And then the other thing that I think the inner circle is missing right now is, okay, so MJF joined the inner circle. Now we've got a little bit of this. Where does MJF fit in? Who does he like? Who is he trying to play? Where is he trying to scheme? Is he legit? All of that kind of angle. And like I said, I enjoyed the Wardlow Jake Hager thing because it's, you know, two monsters. It's a brand new faction. They got to figure out the pecking order. But now let's see who they're fucking facing. Stop facing each other. I need to see, like, who you going after?
Yeah, what are you doing? Yeah.
You got the goddamn Good Brothers from Impact hanging out here beating up people backstage. You're not saying shit about that or even addressing it. You know, what the hell? You got Eddie Kingston and his family, who they did a backstage promo with Jake the Snake and Lance Archer, which was, Lance Archer, which was good. That was fine. Want to make mention of that before we close up on AEW. But Inner Circle, identify who we're taking out. What's your goal here? You keep saying we're the best. Well, Jericho was the champ. Yeah, Jericho was the champ when crowds were involved. That's been a while, pal. So let's get into what we're doing here.
Well, and there is nothing right now, because if it's not about elevating Jericho to a world title, what does a faction like this do? Especially when there's no other factions like that to tackle. So unless they're biding time, like you said, to be the turn them face as they take on
the Impact,
this new
insurrection
Impact group, but I don't. Then that doesn't make sense with the MJF and Wardlow joins the group stuff. That kind of, it felt, I don't know. I don't know where they're going with it, and I wish they would, like you said, create a definitive decision and go with it and do it, whether it's dissolution through tearing apart from the inside via MJF or unified front and going after somebody. Either way, let's get something going.
Yes, definitely. As I'm reviewing my notes, I did miss a couple segments here, so let's just do a quick wrap up before we move on to the WWE portion.
Wrap it up,
we did see that Sting congratulated Darby Allin for retaining his title. Then Team Taz cut a promo, and then I think we're going to get a cinematic match of a street fight so that we can get around the limitations of Sting, which is fine. This is the point that I was going to make, though, and this goes back to the Inner Circle. To your point, okay, now we've identified, for whatever reason, Chris Jericho and MJF are going to be a tag team, so they're going to go up the tag team ranks, right? Well, Darby Allin is your TNT champion. I'm exhausted from his feud with Team Taz. I don't mind if we come back to this time next year, and we have this, like, Tommy Dreamer, Raven type thing, but even Tommy Dreamer and Raven fought other guys and then would come back to each other. We can do that. But where I was going to go with this is now we've got the tag team for the Inner Circle. Well, now Sammy Guevara needs to do something. Wouldn't it be fucking cool if he went after the TNT championship and we had Sammy Guevara versus Darby Allin? And then why not throw in Jungle Boy Jack Perry? There you go. A triple threat for the TNT championship. You got Jungle Boy Jack Perry, Darby Allin as champion, and Sammy Guevara with Jake Hager in his corner. Right there.
That could work.
That could work. That was the other thing I was going to say is FTR got baited into a match with the bald one taking on Jack Perry. So that happened.
That was a good segment. I like that one in the back.
Yeah, it was really good.
That was done well. Like you said, it wasn't in the ring. Mm-hmm. It felt real. Everything that they barked back and forth was exactly how fights happen in a bar. You know what I mean? It's this, oh yeah, you're tough. No, I'm tough. No, you're tough. No, I'm tough. Watch. Oh, you want to prove it? Oh, you're okay. Right? Like, and somebody's kind of like, no, yeah, of course. Yeah, of course. No, that was really well done really well. The Darby Allin thing, I want to hit on that again. That was so, how they set that up. And then, when Taz is just like, balls in your court, what do you got? And then we're just silent staring at each other, guys. Like, we couldn't write something a little better than that. And then his response didn't make any sense either. Like, careful what you wish for. You just might get. He didn't wish for anything. He asked for you to say something. Like, he asked for you to make a declaration. And you said, careful what you wish for. Like,
yeah,
I don't know what to make of that.
This is a feud that feels like it's going on too long, and then maybe on paper it felt like it got a bit of a refresh with the addition of Sting, but with Sting's limitations, it feels like now we're just dragging our feet, and you have too many guys in Team Taz that are just sitting there twiddling their thumbs. I need to see Ricky Starks in a match or a feud. I need to see why isn't Team Taz taking on the Inner Circle? That could be something, right? Like, I just need those guys doing more than running away from an old man with a bat and a weird kid that paints his face.
Inner Circle is a face, which, I mean, they kind of half are. They're kind of in that John Cena role for some aspects, you know. Mm-hmm. Why aren't they taking on Team Taz? You know, why isn't it Team Taz versus Inner Circle? Yeah,
going for something here. As we were talking about, and one other thing that I missed, because, you know, sometimes I miss things. That happens. It's our podcast, not yours. You're welcome. Kenny Omega, after he saw Don Callis with his busted up face, got pissed off, went backstage, beat up Pentagon, and the Good Brothers and him took out Pentagon. So now we're going to get a 6-man tag of Pac, Rey Fenix, and god dang Jon Moxley. That's an insane team. Mm-hmm. Taking on Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers. That's a hell of a match. I'm excited for that. I forget when they
go hard.
I forget when they said it might be in 2 weeks. Might be
that's that beach break or whatever they're calling it.
Yeah. I think that's maybe where it's taking place. Maybe the main event for that show. That is going to be crazy. The
that's when
talent
they're
in
going to
that.
Miami. They're going to Miami for a little bit, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but that's going to be, woo.
Yeah. It's a big
John
show.
Moxley and Pac together with Ray Phoenix, who can do every cartwheel and backflip you can ask, and then taking on talents like Kenny Omega and the Good Brothers. I'm all about it. But like I mentioned, next week is the match to Hangman Adam Page. I want to get on a fucking horse right now. I tell you what, next week we're going to get the Dark Order taking on the Good Brothers and the Young Bucks. Something's going to happen, and Hangman's going to come out looking like a fucking stud. AEW, still kicking it.
Hangman.
So before we wrap up, I do want to give our weekly poll as I try to find it here. This actually had some interesting results. I don't know if you got to see this on our Twitter page. It's at Table Show if you'd like to participate or follow along with our live tweets. But the question was, what grade would you give tonight's AEW Dynamite? With 0% was A. With 33% was B. With 27% was C. And the winner for this poll for this week's AEW Dynamite was D with 40%. I don't know if I'd go that hard, but it definitely was a filler episode.
Yeah. Well, and so, I mean, if you're grading on a curve, this would be the one you drop off of the bottom. I feel like this has probably been one of the episodes that I would stick out as, like, if you had to rank them, this was probably the one that was the worst. But again, there was good stuff in it. Not terrible. Yeah, I don't know that I would give it a D. It was average or below average in my, of like pro wrestling.
But their bar is so high. If you apply this to SmackDown, this is an A. Or no, it's maybe not that much. But it's a B.
SmackDown's been the better WWE show as of late.
Yeah, but I'm just saying a 2-hour show.
Storylines.
Yeah, I'm just saying a 2-hour show applied to WWE.
Yep.
I even think it was better than NXT, even though they had that pit fight with Tommaso Ciampa and Timothy Thatcher. I thought the big takeaway for me was the heel turn from Private Party. And then again, that Nick Camarado. I want to see Nick Camarado. Hey, there you go. Let's start doing some new faction. Put Nick Camarado and Layla Hirsch, if she's not going to join Team Taz, put those two super freak athletes together and just have them run through the whole division on whatever they want to do.
It's not a bad idea.
There you go.
All right, so let's talk about some WWE side of things. We were on Wednesday night talking about AEW Dynamite, so let's stick with the NXT. We had some Dusty Rhodes Tag Team Classics going on. There were some interesting booking choices in this one. We had Kushida and Ruff over Theory and Gargano and Lucha House Party over Imperium on the men's side. And then on the women's side, Carter and Catanzaro over Toni Storm and Mercedes Martinez, which is probably less shocking than the men's side.
I don't know. Did you see this Catanzaro 630 splash? Stop. What are we doing? Fucking, you're going to hurt someone. We all know that this is like acting. We don't. God, it looked dangerous, didn't it? She did not land that gracefully. No. At least in my opinion, she didn't. So I don't know, man.
It's a lot. It's a lot.
I wasn't a fan.
A friend of the show, Kurt Stallion, had a big spot there, helping out Lucha House Party, right?
Love Kurt Stallion. By the way, great guy, behind the scenes, fantastic wrestler, huge fan of Kurt Stallion. So anytime you get him on NXT proper and not just 205 Live, which is kind of the mini NXT in my opinion, I'm a fan of that.
Yep, and then, as you mentioned, the big match here was Thatcher over Ciampa in the NXT Fight Pit. This is always a fun little thing they do, as long as they don't overdo it.
Yeah, it looks cool. We've done that now 2 times this year, because obviously the first time we re-debuted this was with Thatcher and Riddle, and Thatcher choked out Riddle, and then Riddle goes to the main roster. If they want this to become Thatcher's signature match, I'm okay with. I feel, though, if you're going to make signature matches for people, they need to be a little bit more important. And I'm not saying that the feud between Thatcher and Ciampa isn't important. I love it. I remember their going back to their NXT TakeOver match. If you watch my instant reaction, that was my favorite match of the night. It was awesome. It's great. And this storyline is really great. But if we're going to do a third one, which hopefully it's not anytime soon, let's make that for Thatcher's first NXT title reign or something like that. Mm-hmm. That's where I feel like this match is a little bit more important than just, hey, we need a main event. We'll throw in the cage,
Right. Yeah. Okay, so that was the NXT side of things. Let's hit kind of the main rosters on WWE. Again, so much content that we're not going to touch everything because a lot of it isn't good. We're just going to
not everything needs to be talked about because not everything is great.
Starting then more at the bottom, I do like Billie Kay with the Riot Squad. I like that she's kind of, they're a little annoying because she's just funny. Billie Kay is fun. I like what she's doing right now. If you're not going to go be challenging for a title, I'd rather you do something like this than just kind of in a know-nothing storyline.
Yeah, I actually think we can turn this up a little bit, and I say Billie Kay just becomes a floating manager to people who just kind of half-ass agree to her being the manager. So she does this fumble where she walks in the middle of a match between Liv Morgan and whoever she took on, cost Liv Morgan the match. I think it was Natalya, right? And so have Riot Squad kick her to the curb. Billie Kay gets up, dusts herself off, has her resume, finds the Street Profits, right? Mm-hmm. And she's like, hey, tonight you could really use a manager to help you get the big victory. She does something very similar to maybe grabs the wrong guy's leg. It's a Street Profit guy. He loses. They kick her to the curb. And so she just becomes this like joke of like, I can fit in somewhere. And then the payoff could be she finds Otis or she finds Chad Gable and then takes that person to the moon.
That could be, yeah, I could get behind that.
But I just don't know if I necessarily just want this to be a, hey, and now Billie Kay is a Riot Squad member. Because it's like, well, they suck as it is. They don't need more people to suck.
Bailey is doing something a little too close to the waiting room for my comfort to want to get behind it with this ding dong hello, and that's a little forced. I don't know if this one's gonna stick. I don't think it's gonna hit. Well,
it's her whole little, during the pandemic, one of her catchphrases has been ding dong hello. Yeah. Oh, okay, right. Okay, I'm fine with that. But yeah, if I were to say, hey wife, I want to watch this segment. She goes, oh, well, what is it? I go, so it's a new talk show in WWE. And she goes, okay, so what is it called? And I say ding dong hello. That's not going to go over well. I can say the waiting room, and they're like, well, what are you talking about? I was like, well, in real life, Britt Baker's a doctor.
It's Dr. Britt Baker's waiting room.
Yeah, that is a, hand in glove kind of fit. This makes me kind of feel like, what are we doing? Maybe stop with all the fucking talk shows and just come up with something new. I don't know.
Yeah, I agree. Adam Pearce was replaced by Kevin Owens, right? So he gets him to sign the contract and then goes, oh, man, the snagging injury. Oh, but it's in the contract, card subject to change. And you can see Roman Reigns already knew. He's like, this son of a bitch, right? So that was good. I think we called it. This was going to go. We didn't think Adam Pearce was going to make it, although you said there was a chance just because
I thought he was
generally throwaway.
Yeah, I really thought he was, and I was so excited. I even shared on my Instagram a past match. It was actually Adam Pearce's last match for Metro Pro, an old promotion here in Kansas City. I shared the video that I took of that match where he jumped off the top rope into the entire Metro Pro roster, and I was like, man, he was so fucking good. And then I started thinking back to the 7 stages of hell that he had with Colt Cabana. And I really worked myself into before SmackDown started going like, no, I'm into this. Fucking Adam Pearce is going to have a hell of a match. And as cool as Kevin Owens is, and as cool as that swerve is for the storyline.
Would have been cooler.
Yeah, it would have been cooler.
I just wonder if he can't. I just wonder if he can't, and we don't know that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. Yeah, of course. Maybe there is a legit nagging injury, neck, spine, knee, whatever it is. That's he's like, I'm not gonna fucking wrestle, and they're like, okay, but I wanted it. I wanted it so bad.
And we have a tweet the table on this later that we'll get to when we get to the fan portion of the show. Stay tuned for that. Hear how you could get involved. We can hear your thoughts on subjects just like this with hashtag tweet the table. Nakamura, a little face turn in progress, and possible
back
return
to
to
the
the
old
upper
music.
card.
Yeah,
Maybe?
went back to the old music, got rid of the rap style of his song.
I could be behind this.
God dang, I always go back to, and maybe it's a little of this, absent makes the heart grow fonder, or whatever that phrase is, but just Wrestle Kingdom 9, and he walks out as the Intercontinental Champion, and I even remember I called you, and I was like, this motherfucker right here? Oh, it was so fucking cool. I want that guy back. Motherfucker. I want Nakamura. God damn, he's cool.
Yeah, he is cool. I'm excited for that.
He's such a fucking weirdo. He's such a fucking weirdo, and he's so goddamn cool. He's Mike Tyson and Freddie Mercury. I love that motherfucker. Nakamura, baby. Nakamura.
Yes. Okay. Randy Orton in a skin mask, maybe. What is
it was a bad. It wasn't a bad idea to say, hey, he got shot in the face with fire. He's going to have some lingering injuries.
He's going to have the Cody Rhodes gimmick.
Yeah,
Remember
the
when he did
mask. Right, yeah, the dashing Cody Rhodes. It was just a miss with.
So dashing Cody Rhodes is when he had like the mustache and he was giving you the tips. What was the one when he had the mask? What did he call himself? Was it? It was another D word, but it was something.
Yeah, it was. I remember dashing, but I don't remember the other one. Mm-hmm. We don't fact check. No. Hashtag tweet table. Let us know. It was just the wrong choice of mask. If they would have went all black, if they would have went something other than that weird, Caucasian skin color, I think it would have been better. But that was just a. But maybe that's what they were going for. Maybe they're like, hey, we don't give a shit about the memes or the man in the iron mask.
That's all going to be good.
It's all going to be fine because it's attention, but it looks hideous, and as it should. And so maybe that's what they're going for. I don't know.
Yeah, you're supposed to look like a freak. You're supposed to look gross. Right. Yeah. Okay. And then I guess they are completely giving the Fiend character to Alexa Bliss.
Oh, Tim, how much does this fucking suck? Because we know what's going to happen. Tim, we know what's going to happen. Tim, we know what's going to happen.
Tell us what's going to happen, Tom.
This is what's going to happen. Ladies and gentlemen of the Spanish Downs Table Nation, I'm so sorry that I'm putting that out there, or putting this out there in the universe, because when you say it, typically it happens, and it's going to happen. But here we go, ladies and gentlemen.
Tom is manifesting right now.
And I don't even want to, but we know how bad the writing is with WWE.
This is an unwilling manifestation.
And it sucks, ladies and gentlemen.
Here we go. Here's what it is.
Strap it on and get ready for the ride. So what we're going to have happen in this storyline progression is we're going to have Alexa Bliss, who just scared Asuka, right? Scared her in the playground thing. Asuka did that really well, though. She did awesome for the limited time that she had, right?
Wasn't overdone, but she looked uncomfortable, worried, and then scared, eventually more and more scared, right? Yeah.
Right. So then later on of the night, Asuka loses, even though she's champion, just straight up to Alexa Bliss, who does like a commercial change of her wardrobe where now she just looks emo. So now we're going to get Alexa Bliss and Asuka at the Royal Rumble, and Alexa Bliss is going to win that title. And I don't know how we're going to get here because they're probably not going to go that predictable, but we all know at WrestleMania, uber babyface Charlotte is going to overcome the female fiend Alexa Bliss and become champion.
Well, and Charlotte's getting this uber babyface push right now with this Lacey Evans is
Ric Flair thing,
and Nicole Smith,
and the tie-in with, hey, you beat my tag team partner, I need to avenge her loss, she's my friend. It all plays
Alexa Bliss is
into
going to set her on fire, and maybe Asuka goes away for a few months, right?
Well, here's the thing that you could do. There is an aspect of Asuka's character that is like,
she could become part of the Funhouse.
No, but there's an aspect of the Asuka character that is, this almost Finn Balor Fiend, or not Finn Balor Fiend, but Finn Balor demon character that she could become like, hey, if you're going to get dark, I'll get dark with you. And she could do that one character that she did over in Japan. I just don't think we're doing that. I think we're going to have
what you do
Charlotte.
is you burn her, but she shows up as a character in the Funhouse.
Hey, that'd be cool. Hey,
because she fits in real well with there. Because she, you know what I mean? She could say a bunch of stuff that nobody knows what she's saying, right? But they could just play along with it.
Or anytime you need a dub over, she can just move her lips, and then it's the Fiend Bray Wyatt talking over that. Yeah, I mean, you could do that as well. But yeah, guys, we all know what's going to fucking happen. We're not excited for it, but Charlotte beats Fiend Alexa Bliss at WrestleMania. But let's talk about that real quick. That was the other part of Monday Night Raw. And also on their social media channels, they announced the next 3 years of WrestleMania. So this year it's going to be in Tampa at Raymond James Stadium. So they got the Super Bowl and WrestleMania. Kudos to Tampa Bay. Next year, we're going to get Dallas Cowboys because, the Corona won't be around then. So we just get 100,000 people in there. And then 2 years after that, or 2 years after this year, we're going to LA because that's when hopefully we get The Rock versus Roman Reigns.
The Corona's going to be around forever. It's just, we'll hopefully be able to deal with it by then, I guess.
Or just push it under the rug. It's not a real thing.
I know I mentioned we should go to Dallas, and Dallas would be great because it's only 8 hours away from us. That would be the easiest logistically for us. That'll also be my daughter's 18th birthday, and the next year is Hollywood. Fucking Hollywood. So, we may be going to one of those WrestleManias. We're going to have to work that out and determine what we want to do.
You're not missing your daughter's 18th birthday.
Yeah, we got to go to Hollywood the next year after. That'll be cooler than Dallas, Texas anyway. Right.
Yeah, what's good in Dallas? Unless you're from Dallas, listeners, thank you so much. Appreciate the support.
You're what's good in Dallas.
You're what's good, but your town. No, I'm kidding. I've never been to Dallas. Been to Houston, but never been to Dallas.
I've been there twice, I think. Yeah.
But yeah, LA, that's where you want to go, right? That's the glitz and the glamour. Because the thing is the fucking place, every WrestleMania is going to be, assuming we're going back to who gives a fuck, we're just going to ram people into all these things as much as possible.
You're going to sit on top of people. We're going to double book these seats.
Right. So if we're going to go back to that, how old WrestleManias were, then let's go to LA, because then when we can't get into the Hall of Fame or whatever, because our seats are, our seats are taken by someone else. Well, at least we can go do something else because LA has 10 million other things to do.
That's true. Yeah. Yep. All right, then let's hear what the listeners had to say about the pro wrestling world. Tom, I've got some tweet the tables. I've got an email to the show.
I like it. I dig it.
I mentioned that somebody sent us a tweet the table about the Adam Pearce, Kevin Owens storyline. And it's at Katie the First Lady. And she says it would have been good for an Edge return 1 year later, but I guess he's not ready yet. # tweet the table. I don't know if that would have made sense. Like, Edge doesn't have any beef with Roman that we're aware of right now. You know what I mean? Like, I
agree. However, things can be brought up out of thin air, right? Adam Pearce was a mentor during Edge.
Do something backstage that day.
Yeah.
He bumps into him and then he has Jey Uso beat him up.
Right. Yeah, they could have done something really quick.
I don't know that Edge might be in a similar situation where he may not, he's only got a few of these left and he may be waiting until we can get crowds again.
Yeah. I feel like these part-timers, they're not
should wait till we can get crowds again, at least.
I agree. I also think they don't want to waste it on, even though it's good for the storyline and it's good for the TV, I still think if they did pull the trigger and say Roman Reigns Rock this year at WrestleMania, that's going to be awesome and amazing. It's just, what's your financial return when you could save it, hopefully? Because again, you can just make a storyline out of thin air. We've seen WWE do it a million times.
Well, because that's it. They're not going to get The Rock to bump up all these like WWE network subscriptions because you offer it for free for the month. So like if all of a sudden people are like, Rock's going to be on there, I'll just sign for this free WWE network and cancel it, So yeah, you're right. I think you're right there. Let's move on to at @AA_WIR. He says, so now Randy Orton is the new Kane? # tweet the table.
Here's my question to you. How long does he wear the mask? very similar to Rey Mysterio's eye, which is now just healed. How long does these burns last on Randy Orton?
Well, until this Bray Wyatt feud is done, right?
WrestleMania? Are we going to WrestleMania with Randy Orton, Bray Wyatt too?
Maybe. That's a long ways to go. But they would have to end it now and start something new for both of these guys because they're both going to be on WrestleMania. So
right.
maybe we are long playing this one. It feels like we've already done everything we could with the storyline, though.
I don't know what we're doing. I don't. Unless it's one of those like how Undertaker appeared the night of against John Cena, where Randy Orton's like, Bray Wyatt, you need to show your face. And then he takes his mask off and he goes, I show you my scars. I want to see yours. And then he appears and then we get a quick match. God, that could actually happen too. Fuck, that's bad. Ugh.
That is bad. And just because I thought that was funny from Double A, and he's got a very similar one here, I'm going to read this one also. He says, so Alexa Bliss is now friends with Little Jimmy, hashtag tweet the table. And yeah, Little Jimmy was riding the rocking horse.
Well, and that's who needs to come out next week in the playground is R-Truth.
Little Jimmy?
I think R-Truth needs to come out, and it could be as simple as this, where Alexa Bliss is doing her playground. We don't know who the guest is. The 24/7 title just runs through the playground. He sees, the rocking chair or the rocking horse or even the swing set move. And he's like, Little Jimmy, you got to come with me. And Alexa Bliss is like, you motherfucker. And then just Sister Abigail's him. And then that's the end of the segment.
Well, it could just he could be like, Little Jimmy, you got to come with me. And be like, Little Jimmy, why do you look like that? Right. And then she just, does something and we
takes him
all
out.
All of a sudden our truth is gone. And then she could even have the 24/7 title. Fuck that would be terrible.
Yeah.
All right. Okay. Hashtag tweet the tables. I'm going to cut it there because, this has been a long show and I'm going to cut it off. That's how razor thin we keep this margin. You can use hashtag tweet the table and join in on the conversation. We're going to read the best of them here. And you got to bring it. You got to come with it. You got to be good.
Come on,
we're going to, you know what I mean? It's got to spark some interesting conversation between Tom and I. But if you can't fit it into a tweet, or maybe you're just not on Twitter. Maybe you don't like Twitter and you don't want to be on there. You can still contact the show. You still have your voice heard. You can email the show, tableshow@gmail.com. And we have a email from a friend of the show, John Batten. And I'm going to remind you to hashtag be like John Batten.
There it is.
And email the show, tableshow@gmail.com. And he says, which did you enjoy more? Alexa shooting Randy Orton with a fireball. Fireball. All right. Or Kane setting fire to JR, or Kane setting JR on fire, right? He says, I really hope you get the audio for the latter. I did not. Sorry. But what did you enjoy more? I definitely Kane setting JR on fire. Definitely Team Kane on that one. Not much else. But Team Kane on that one. You're thinking about it, huh?
So here's the bad parts of both. Is when JR gets lit on fire, they have the worst audio dub over of him yelling for his life. It was so...
Right,
even
and I
in
think
the
that's
90s,
what he was asking for.
Yeah, and even in the 90s, you're like, what?
Yeah, that's bad, guys.
Randy Orton was bad, but it wasn't Randy Orton's fault. Randy Orton's was bad because, it was Peter Griffin hitting his knee and going, ah. And it was like, you guys, that would have been great if it was hits, in the face with the fireball, falls to the ground, rolls once, rolls
screams
twice.
Once or twice, and we
screams
cut.
Once or twice, and then we're done. So
go back to her face grinning, like you did in the last show. Yeah.
So I think I'm going to say the one I actually enjoyed the most was Alexa Bliss, Randy Orton, because those two didn't fail the segment. The segment was failed by the production team and
you could say that's
timing.
The same thing that failed the other one. I mean, but it's okay.
Well,
you can be wrong once in a while. It's fine.
No, I'm not. I'm never wrong. But no, the Kane one was bad because it was just, it made me uncomfortable. It was just like, I don't ever want to see that again.
Yeah, well, you know what else Kane did that made you uncomfortable? Anyway,
Run for mayor.
Katie, yeah, well,
Oh, you're talking in storylines. Yeah, Katie, Vic, and all that stuff. Yeah, no, but I'm talking about run for mayor.
Yeah, no, in real life, yeah.
Run for life.
Anyway.
Parlor account. Anyhow,
you know who wasn't wrong? John Batten. So you should hashtag be like John Batten and email the show, tableshow@gmail.com. And don't forget also to use hashtag tweet the table on Twitter. You can follow us at Table Show. He is at TMac, MAC _816. I am at The Awesome Voice. And gosh, check out SpanishAnnounceTable.net. Subscribe to the audio podcast if you can't watch the YouTube. And tell your friend, parentheses S, about the show. Right? We need some exposure. We need some help. Send us some money. You can donate on SpanishAnnounceTable.net, and that'll help us put money into advertising for exposure.
And, ladies and gentlemen, you're going to want to listen and tune in to next week's episode because we're going to celebrate that the Chiefs are going to back-to-back Super Bowls. How much fun is that going to be?
That's going to be so fun. I'm going to enjoy all of that. But I enjoyed all of this as well. So I don't know if we've got any parting words for pro wrestling, but
go Chiefs.
Go Chiefs.
The Spanish Announce Table.